Let me tell you a story of a familiar, angry young person. They attend a prestigious university in the city, paid for by others. They fall in love with the utopian philosophers who decry our civilization and imagine we might perfect man and join a like-minded vanguard of radicals, one-upping each other for who is more ideologically pure. After graduation, they struggle to make a living in their field. Overeducated and underemployed, they pour their energies into radical politics, canvassing the city for political revolution. We're all familiar with this character, aren't we? But not so fast. This is the story of Camille Desmoulins. I think I got that right. The Jacobin. On July 12th, 1789, Desmoulins would climb onto a table at the sort of cafe that would later host the likes of Lenin and Pol Pot and deliver a speech that would trigger the storming of the Bastille just 48 hours later. And while Desmoulins was a married man, he was French, so that's close enough to gender fluid to complete my historical analogy. And yes, this is also the story of the Columbia grad students chanting from the river to the sea, and the Twitch streamer who routinely dons designer clothes while reading what is to be done on his way to champion communism in Cuba, and the hip, young, arts and crafty women leading the Mamdani Revolution in New York who are conspicuously rare in the newly invigorated public prayers in our city. Here's the harder question. How many of us in this very room could say it about our children? I think the answer is too many of us. And while our kids revel in the sense of being new Jacobins, there's nothing new about them or where their ideas will lead us. The original Jacobins would go on to desecrate Notre Dame, dubbing it the new Temple of Reason, all the while sending 17,000 of their fellow countrymen to the guillotine, in the name of liberty, equality, and fraternity, of course. It's a pattern that will repeat itself with the Bolsheviks a century later. And a century later still, it is percolating in the biggest cities as we stand here. This is a room filled with far better historians than myself, so most of you know this history. The question is, are we doomed to repeat it? It's a question whose answer starts in this room and in our households, and one that I obsess about every day. As you heard, my name is John Papola. I'm the founder and CEO of Emergent Order, a media studio dedicated to championing civilization, and I'm the host of Dad Saves America. I'm here to say that the future depends on strong men as strong fathers stepping up to save the West. The nerdier among you may know me as the creator with Russ Roberts of the Keynes versus Hayek economics rap battles. But before that, I actually spent a decade as a creative director at Spike TV, the first network for men. It was a great job at a great network that today would be flagged as a hate group worthy of secret funding by the Southern Poverty Law Center. To be fair, the White House lawn was just turned into a UFC battle royale, giving America's 250th a decidedly Spike TV flavor, which I suppose is a change of pace, at least, from our last administration, this time in June. As the 4th of July approaches and we in America celebrate our revolution against you people, the British, I find myself worried that we are indeed far closer to a French-style revolution today. The Jacobins sought to remake all of society. They even reset their calendar to year one. Our new Jacobins want the same. Their cries echo Karl Marx's favorite quote from Faust, "All that exists deserves to perish." In a pursuit of a utopia, their professors have convinced them has never truly been tried. And it resonates because they've inherited an incredibly complex world whose benefits they take for granted and whose flaws inflame them like a splinter in their mind. And I can't judge them too harshly because negativity bias bewitches us all. The contrast with the American Revolution is both profound and personal. Our founding fathers did not believe they were starting the world anew. They believed that they inherited something precious, the rights of Englishmen, the rule of law, centuries of hard-won wisdom, and Christian ethics about the flawed and fallen nature of mankind. Their job was not to remake humanity, but to preserve the best of what they'd been given. and set it free to pursue real happiness. Our founding fathers sought to protect and preserve what is good and prepare us for a better future to come. This is what we are called to do as fathers. That starts simply by showing up and being present. Because as Jonathan Haidt documented, many of the root causes of our troubles in the coddling of the American mind, one cause was conspicuously absent: the collapse of fatherhood, the rise of the single-parent home. It has warmed my heart to see so many people from around the world coming to the heartland of America for the World Cup and discovering what a beautiful, prosperous, fun, and actually hospitable country we really are. What better birthday gift for the founding fathers than to see young, well-traveled Brits proclaiming that we're the best country in the world? But that leaderboard also includes a mark of shame, because we lead this planet in fatherlessness. 27% of American children live in a single-parent home, which almost always means a fatherless one. That's triple the global average. Only 3% of Nigerian children share that same fate, which might explain why Nigerian immigrants to the US out-earn the median American. Someone forgot to tell them that America never reckoned with our racial past. But we lead here, but we're not alone. France and the UK aren't far behind. Every person who has studied this, every honest person, knows that a mother and a father in the home is the key to a child's success in school, in career, in mental health, in their own marriages in the future. And none of us would be here without a long line of mothers and fathers who made it happen. This is a biological fact, no matter how hard the New York Times opinion page wishes to erase it. This past Father's Day weekend, the Times celebrated fatherhood with pieces by 2 childless men and 4 women, one of whom was pretending to be a dad. How long did you have breasts, Dad? Is not a normal, healthy question a young daughter would ask her female parent. It's the punchline of a Father's Day card for your overweight pop. That's me, by the way. Here's a few practical ways we as dads, and yes, all parents, can set our kids up to succeed and inoculate them against this utopian mind virus of the new Jacobins. For starters, have more kids, and sooner than you think you're ready to. Wealth comes later in life, and for the first world, it's increasingly a curse for our kids. Be young and poor together. Let the siblings share a room. Those bonds are harder to break. How you treat your wife will have a dominant impact on what your kids do and expect out of their relationships. In this and everything else, your actions will speak louder than your words. Next, put your kids to work early. Yes, child labor is good. Nothing combats utopia quite like hacking at agaves in 100-degree heat, which now you're used to here in London, or cleaning the kitchen at your local breakfast spot. School, even at its best, is to helping your kids focus on improving themselves. What work teaches is the profound moral lesson that real success and happiness comes from serving others. Now this one's key. Don't send your kids to a woke madrasa and then whine about them coming home a communist. Prioritize the preservation of your values in the school you choose for your kids. I'm talking to you in this room. And if they're not mature enough to discern that most of their peers and professors at Yale are delusional, don't send them there, or at least don't pay for it. You're likely going to be your only kid's sane source for economics and history. So arm yourself with the material, actually from the people in this room, to do better than their schools will do, which frankly is a pretty low bar, if I'm being honest. And start practicing as soon as they can speak. Finally, go to church, Dad. Become the spiritual leader of your household. It turns out that children whose fathers attended church services are dramatically more likely to continue their faith practices into adulthood. Even the decline of faith in the West can be traced back to fatherlessness. And this matters most of all because at the end of the day, as we've heard throughout this conference, the new Jacobins deep down are in search for the transcendental, the search for meaning. Help your kids find it in the right place. We live in a world starved for healthy, confident, mature, masculine leadership. If we don't fill that role, someone else will. The future depends on strong men as strong fathers stepping up to save the West. Thank you.